I'm Tom Snyder. On the Late Late Show, my colleague and boss, David Letterman, opens up one-on-one, coming up later on the next Late Late Show.
I like them boys. Ain't they good? The Matthew Sweet. Oh, man. You know what I got the best about that song? Eight endings. I love that 8 endings on that song. Indeed. They're terrific. My thanks to Marv Albert and Billy Crystal. Do me a favor now. Stay tuned for Tom Snyder on the Late Late Show. One of Tom's guests tonight, me. That's right. I'll try and screw up his show, too. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Kiss Me Now.
Good evening, folks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom, and this is the simulcast up and running now for May the 24th, 1995. And tonight's only guest on this program is my colleague and partner in the CBS late night schedule. That'd be David Letterman. I have wanted to interview Dave ever since he began his programs on CBS back in August of 1993. Remember how hot that was? The press was covering it, and I was working at CNBC at the time, and we tried to put together some arrangement whereby Dave and I could just sit down and chat as broadcasters about mutual experiences. And finally, a year and a half later, tonight is the night. He's staying later at the Ed Sullivan Theater back in New York tonight for a conversation about his early years in broadcasting and his fiercely competitive time now as host of The Late Show, one of the great stars of CBS at 11:35 every night. The first time I met him on television was late in the run of The Tomorrow Show. He and other young comedians were booked to come on and talk about what made comedy and what made for being funny on stage in front of people. And among the guests were David Letterman and Billy Crystal, who were together tonight. So here from late in The Tomorrow Show, David Letterman and Billy Crystal.
I started doing weather just as what they used to call Happy Talk came out of WABC in New York. And in the Midwest, it hadn't come around yet, and they didn't like it. When a tropical storm became a hurricane, I would wish her well. And they didn't like that sort of thing, because later it would go on to destroy millions and millions of dollars of property.
You know, you maybe have written, all of you, I think, have written for other people and maybe watched them, as Carson says, go down the tubes with a joke or a line. What is it when it happens to you?
It is the worst feeling you can imagine. When you feel that you're being rejected by 500 people all at once, it's a little heavy to take, you know. And you start getting this sweat that people call a flop sweat. But it really happens. I mean, it starts back here and then works its way across your face, down the latissimus dorsi, into your thighs, and then into your ego, into your car, into home, into therapy.
They didn't have sweat meetings back then. By the way, the toll-free line is not working tonight for technical reasons. Settle back, fire up the simultane, and watch Dave and Tom as they fly through the air. And now, having just finished his nightly program and joining us from the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, here is David Letterman. David, thank you for staying up late and doing our show tonight. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your courtesy, and thanks for every last little consideration.
You're welcome. Now, you've just finished back there.
Right.
And have you assessed tonight's show? I'm told that you think about it after you've finished as to whether or not it could have been better, could have been stronger, could have been sharper. Have you gone through that process yet?
Well, the problem with tonight's show, Tom, is I overslept and missed the whole damn thing. so I'm certain it was probably pretty good. I'm curious about one thing, and I know that you have a very close relationship with your staff there, a very warm family kind of atmosphere, and I recognize that and applaud that. And let me just ask you a question. Later, will the kids get together and do the crossword puzzle on your tie? It's a joke. Settle down.
Let's not go down this road, please. I noticed that tonight there was a delay after your first segment in which it seemed to take forever to get the program back up online here in California. What happened there? What was the problem?
I have no idea. The best we're hearing now, the reports we're getting from a couple of the top boys at NASA, who by the way, are always standing by whenever we take the air, it was ball lightning, Tom.
In your opening monologue tonight, you went back to the well insofar as Connie Chung and CBS. This is the third night, and I've talked about that in a more serious vein, having worked with her on news assignments in the past. And I just wonder if, as an observer of Connie Chung, as someone who's had her on your program, you wonder about what happened in this instance?
Yeah, I think so. I have no more insight into this than I do any other aspect of my life, professionally or personally. But the tack that we're taking on it is that Connie was screwed because it seems to be easy, it seems to be cheap, and it affords more comic possibilities. But I'll be the first to say I have no idea. You know, I guess Dan caught her using his eyeliner. I think that's what it was.
To be serious for a second, did you read the comments of the CBS News executives in the paper the other day? Eric Ober, the president of CBS News, who said, let's face it, it was our idea to put her on the news, and we made a mistake. Unfortunately, they get to stay in their offices, and she gets to go home. That's the sad part of being the talent.
Yeah, you know, it's not a mistake. I wish these guys would stick to talking about lesbians in golf, because that, you know, that's far more entertaining. It's not a mistake at all. Here is a woman who has been in professional big league broadcasting, I don't know, 20 years, and so to regard that decision as a mistake is not true, not accurate. So, but beyond that, I don't know. I always thought the world of Connie. I thought she was very nice. Very bright, and we're talking about her like she's passed away, which of course she is not, and I assume she'll just go on to co-host that awful show her husband does. Maury, they call it Maury, and people tune in.
Yeah, right.
I mean, did you ever think you would live long enough to see the day when people would tune in and watch a show called Maury?
Well, did you ever think you would live long enough to see the day when people would tune in and watch most of what's on television these days?
Well, myself included. I can't remove myself from that criticism.
When did you first know that you wanted to be a broadcaster, that you wanted to be on the air?
I got a call about 4 this afternoon.
Oh, stop it.
You know, when I was a kid, when I can remember the first television we had at the house, and it was, you know, because it was interesting, up to a period in my life, there was no television. We had no idea what it was. And then one day, I guess, you know, Dad got one that had fallen off a truck or something. And the next thing we know, there's this big mahogany box the size of our garage in the living room. And you know...
Dave, you're fading out here. Something is happening. Something bad is happening.
Well, I'm certain that's my fault as well,
No,
Tom.
it's not your fault as well, but I'm just concerned as to whether or not it's troubling. Just stop talking. Thanks. Oh, excuse me. We're going to fix our little problem here and go right back to David Letterman at the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York. So you folks enjoy this time out. We'll be right back. We're back with Dave from the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, and technical problems happen from time to time, Dave, because pictures were not meant to fly through the air. Thank you for your patience back there. Now, you're saying all of a sudden one day this big thing the size of a garage appeared at your house. Yeah.
And then, so for the first 7 or 8 years of my life, we were not watching television, and then suddenly for the rest of my life, I have been watching television, and at some point in that experience, I decided, well, hell, maybe I can do that, because I really couldn't do anything else except mow the yard once or twice a summer. And what a beautiful lawn we had.
Did you have the opportunity at all to go to a radio station or a TV station and hang out as a kid? I mean, I used to go out as a 12-year-old all the time and hang around the television station.
Well, it's interesting because the sheltered existence that was mine, I had no idea how you got from being a regular person, not certainly that I would flatter myself in those terms, but how you could go from just being whatever you were doing to being on the radio or on the television. And when I was a kid in high school, there was a radio station, a top 40 radio station that came to the city, and they operated with a glass front, so you could see the control room and the disc jockey and the engineers and whatever, right on one of the main streets in town. And so great fun for us would be to guzzle down a lot of discount warm beer on a Friday night, and then go just stand like idiots in front of the disc jockey's window and watch this guy. And to me, you know, that was a great insight. It was huge magic to watch this man work and talk and cue up his own records and play the commercials. And that really was when I thought, oh, man, if I could, you know, do that.
Yeah, just do that for a living, sure.
Yeah, but I don't want people driving by looking at me full of warm beer, but every other aspect about it. And it just, it was what he seemed to be doing. He was taking phone calls and queuing records and filling out a log and doing live commercials and playing audio tape commercials. I just thought, this guy is a magician. And, you know, later when you realize that most disc jockeys are derelicts, it takes a little of the edge off of it. But that was it for me, and I just thought, man, if I could do that. And I I spent some time in radio, not enough for my tastes, but geez, I just loved it. To me, that was very exciting, and it stayed with me for a long time.
Yeah, when are you going to do the line about Willard Scott killed a kid?
But Tom, now wait a minute. If you know anything about my career, you know that we discussed Willard Scott beating a cue card boy to death during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and we always discuss that on the holiday itself, because there is no greater holiday story than the time Willard Scott went nuts on a Thanksgiving morning and beat a cue card kid to death during the parade. It happens to be true, by the way, and NBC and General Electric, the powerful broadcasting international corporate juggernaut that they are, were able to hush it up.
You just can't stop yourself, can you?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm serious. When you look at Willard, and God, I love Willard because he's a guy like yourself in that he is a broadcaster, born and bred. That's all he should have ever done, and he's very good at it. But you know, when you look at him, you can tell looking at this guy, look right into his eyes, he's nuts.
So you're at what is the radio station there in Muncie, Indiana, at your college, WAR?
Well, I worked at a couple of radio stations. I actually worked at 3 radio stations when I was in college. The commercial AM operation of the day was WERK, the Men at Work. Do you get it, Tom?
Got it.
The Men at Work. I worked there for a while, filling in for a friend of mine who worked there and actually got me the job. Then I worked at WBST Ball State, and it was 10 watts of radiated power. And if you wanted to listen to that station, you had to come and sit in the parking lot. And then I worked at a place in, gosh, forgive me, I forget the name of the town. It was about 40 miles away. It was
It's okay. It's okay. I'm thinking about your college radio station, but I've forgotten the call letters myself.
You know, one time when I was working at this other station, a fraternity brother of mine would take me to work every day. I would ride on the back of his Triumph Bonneville motorcycle. And this was before helmets. Hell, this is before hats. We're going way back now. And he would take me on the back of this motorcycle at 95 miles an hour to get over to this little radio station. And one day, it was on a Saturday, and there was all kind of incoming programming from other sources, and some of it was on discs, some of it was on tape, and some of it was actually coming in from a network. And one day, in sliding back from the console after doing whatever I had to do, I unplugged everything. The AC cord had wrapped around my foot, and I just unplugged everything, the clock including, and I sat there for like an hour thinking, geez, I thought it was about time for lunch, but man, I guess not. And all sign of life at the radio station stopped for about an hour, of course, until the general manager rolled into the parking lot and beat the living hell out of me.
Yeah. My first job, first day, I opened the door on the transmitter cabinet and threw the whole station off the air for 20 minutes. Yeah, they loved me. So,
and I could never, you know, you were also supposed to, you'd have to have a third-class license. And that's all, that was a little, they'd send you a booklet, you study, it's like 40 questions.
Yeah, the restricted
That's right.
radio telephone operator's license, yeah.
That's right. And then if you were really good at what you were doing, you got the first-class phone. And this was, you had to go to West Point for a couple of years to study for this examination. It was impossible. And so I only got the third class. But you were, with the third class, you were supposed to be able to know how to take transmitter readings. And the transmitters in those days, and I have no idea what they're like now, were so complicated that to get a reading off of any one of a half-dozen meters required a very complex procedure that I never understood or mastered. So for every radio station that I worked at where I was responsible for taking transmitter readings, I just made them up.
Yeah, exactly.
It was much easier. And I was just, so I think, oh my God.
By the way, who knew?
Well, you know, the guy in the FCC car, you know, said, well, you know, he was here in June, for God's sakes. What if the guy comes back and you're screwed, buddy? And I just thought, I hope to God I get fired before the FCC examiner rolls in again.
I'm told that when you were at those radio stations, I read the Rolling Stone piece on you over the holidays last year.
Fascinating, wasn't it, Tom?
Yes, it was. I loved every chapter of it.
A real page-turner, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But they said that you had this disparaging attitude about Muncie, that you dumped all over Muncie when you were on the air in Muncie.
Well, how can you not, for heaven's sakes? It's Muncie, you know. We're not talking about Paris exactly
I know,
here.
But you seem to take great delight in dumping all over everything, no matter where you go. I mean, you had a field day with the Titanic tonight. You know, my line might well have been that the Titanic only went down once, but yours was very, very good. But where does this come from where you are compelled to disparage gently and with humor the venues in which you find yourself?
Well, I think it's not limited to the venues in which I find myself. And by the way, I consider myself to have been quite lucky because I've had great experiences in broadcasting. And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do in my life. And how many people can say that they've worked most every day of their adult life in something they really, really have always wanted to do? So I felt very fortunate in that regard. And as far as making fun of things, we think and we try to first and foremost demonstrate the willingness to make fun of ourselves. Myself, the furniture, the Ed Sullivan Theater, and it's just an extension of that. We think that a lot of times the stuff that you find to use as source material for comedy is just as good as making things up in your head. So I think that you describe it in terms that to me seem a bit severe when my perspective on it is a bit more generous. We'll certainly, I've made fun of my hair, I've made fun of my teeth, I've made fun of the way I look, I've made fun of my suits, but good Lord, Tom, in my entire life have I never seen anything like that tie you're wearing. Get out of here. Just get out of here.
Hey, you paid for it, Dave.
Yeah, that's pretty clever, isn't it?
When you were a kid, did your parents want you to be an achiever? I mean, my mother and father were forever on me to make something out of myself and to study hard in school and work hard. Did you have that kind of ethic in your Middle Western upbringing?
Well, I can remember, you know, when the folks would come by the reform school on Sundays, they said, Dave, good Lord, you've got to do something with this shamble of a life. Now, they were, my existence as a kid was just great. You know, I had a great time. I was holy hell on my poor mother and ran roughshod over the household.
Well, she's certainly getting even.
What exactly does that mean? So no, it was you know, it was great. I had a great time as a kid, and you know, I can't remember the question exactly.
No, I just wondered if you were under pressure to excel as a student to make David.
No, I was not. No, I was not a very good student because I just, you know, it's as a kid, of course, you like kids, you're distracted and you're bored and you're goofy, and you would, you know, rather be out throwing eggs at somebody's house than studying, you know, for your schoolwork. I didn't do very well, and it was an endless source of frustration to my parents in particular, because they thought, well, you know, if you don't get good grades, which I never really did, what will become of you? And I think about that now, and all I can do is laugh.
Me too, same thing. I flunked college, and my parents were fearful that I would never amount to anything, and of course, look what happened.
Well, you know, it's interesting because a lesson that I have learned in my life, and I don't pretend to have learned many, or certainly not all of them, but a lesson that I learned in high school, because I was a certified dweeb in high school, and also in college, more or less. You know, that doesn't represent the be-all and end-all of your life. You know, you play 162 games a season, and just because you drop a few early on the road doesn't mean, well, I have no idea what I'm talking about now.
Doesn't mean the season's over. Have to pause. Chatting with David Letterman from the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, back after this timeout. We are back with David Letterman. The man who runs the camera into which you look now, Dave Dorsett, and I worked at WLWA, your sister station at WLWI, Crossley in Indianapolis. What was the career potential at WLWI?
Well, I started at WLWI. That was one of my problems.
Well, mine too. Thank God they changed the call letters to something else.
It was WLWI, Indianapolis, WLWD, I believe, Dayton,
That's
WLWC,
right.
Columbus, and the whole thing originates live from Channel 5, Cincinnati.
WLW.
Cincinnati, Ohio. WLW, of course, I had a great fondness for that because it was a flagship. It was the flagship of the Crossley and then later AVCO network. But WLW, the radio station, I think you know the details of this better than I. At one time, with a special experimental permit from the government, was allowed to broadcast at something like 500,000 watts.
I believe that's right.
And that's how it got to be known as the nation's station. And literally, that radio station in Cincinnati, Ohio, covered North America and maybe then some. And it was, in those days, like in many other large communities, a real center of broadcast activity. They did a lot of original broadcasting, both on radio and television, and certainly more than goes on these days. So for me, it was a real exciting connection. Crosley was okay. When Avco got to it, they were making flexible straws for the space program, and they spent more time worrying about that than they did broadcasting. And
but what about the confinement in those days? As I recall, if you were an on-air talent at a local television station, you had three choices: news reader, sports reader, or weather reporter. You know, there were not talk shows. There was a movie hosting job occasionally, but you didn't get a chance to do the kinds of things that you and I like to do, which is chat with people or perform on television.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say I enjoy chatting with people, Tom. But when I got the job, it was, and again, it was a great stroke of luck. I was in college. It was the summer between my sophomore and junior year, and the previous summer I had worked at a place, WTRE in Greensburg, Indiana, your Tree City station, because Greensburg at the time, and may still have, in the courthouse, they had like an oak tree growing out of the roof of the courthouse, and they're WTRE, your Tree City station.
Tree City station, yeah.
And then the following year, between my sophomore and junior year in college, a friend of mine by the name of Jerry Norris, a really nice kid and a guy that I was close with all through high school and college, his brother Dick Norris worked at this television station. We used to go down there and hang around, and he would show us the facility and so forth. And as kind of I think a lark, he set up an audition for me at the television station to audition for the part. You know, as a summer replacement, vacation announcer. You would sit in the announce booth. You would do the weather. You would do everything that they used to use live talent for. Not flattering myself with that term. And miracle of miracles, I got this summertime job, and then so suddenly I had virtually almost gone from sacking groceries at the Atlas Market to being on television. And for me, it was a dream come true. And everything that you mentioned was afforded me. I had a chance to, I read some news, I was part of the little kid show, I got to do some weather, and it was just horrible at it, you know, but it was great experience. I mean, it was, as you know, once you've learned the 2 or 3 lessons you need to learn in broadcasting, doesn't make any difference whether it's Muncie, whether it's Milwaukee, whether it's Atlanta, Indianapolis,
or the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah, once you have those, you know, that's all you need to know the rest of your life if you're going to stay in broadcasting. And it was a grand time for me. It was just, I don't know, I've had nothing but really fun jobs, and that was, I guess, maybe the first real solid taste of broadcasting, and I loved every minute of it.
How much fun is the job you have now?
When it goes well, it's great. It's endless fun. As you know, the exhilaration you get from participating in kind of overseeing a job well done by the 40 or 50 people that put together the endless details of a nightly show. When that goes well, regardless of your participation or whatever you've done not to screw it up, when that goes well, it's like anybody's job. A mason, when he puts up a lovely piece of brickwork, there's nothing more satisfying, nothing more exhilarating, and it's the best fun you can have.
Are you happy more often than you're not happy with the piece of work you've done each? Are you happy with tonight's piece of work?
Yeah, more or less. We had some problems tonight, and I didn't help things, but it turned out to be a pretty good show, again, largely through the efforts of others. Billy Crystal was our first guest, and he was very, very funny, and Marv Albert was on, and I get a big kick out of Marv. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, but Marv should give the scores and let you do the jokes.
Well, now, let's not be harsh with Marv. But so, yeah, so I think that despite my ineptness tonight and despite some other problems that are going to happen every few months or so, yeah, I think it turned out all right.
Why do you keep referring to yourself as inept? Why do you keep saying it's all my fault?
Well,
the night that I was with you last April, and you leaned over and you said to me, gesturing to the studio audience, "These people all hate me." Is that just a front, or do you really believe? You can't believe that, for heaven's sake. When you walk out of that theater every night and they applaud you, you know they don't hate you. Why do you say that?
Tom, I hate to correct you, but I believe what I said to you when I whispered in your ear was,
I know
these people hate you. You know, there's, I don't know. I've thought about this for a long time, and the best analogy I can come up with here, it's like running a small restaurant. And you come to the restaurant and work in the kitchen all day long, preparing the best food possible. And some nights the people are going to enjoy it, some nights they're not going to enjoy it. And I feel the ultimate, consummate sense of responsibility that everything that goes wrong, the blame for everything should and will be and can be placed in my lap. I'm not doing this for free. And I feel like if I don't justify in my own mind each and every night the very best effort to take the hard work of the men and women who work on this show each day and make it into something as good as the ingredients or a little bit better, you know, then I ought to be given the check back. You know, I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, because there's not a chance in hell I'll be given the checks back.
You, Dan Rather and all. I mean,
yeah. So I just feel like if things go well, that's great. Things are supposed to go well. If things don't go well, I feel like it's my fault.
We're with David Letterman. We will continue after these brief messages. We're back with David Letterman. In the definitive book about the transfer of power on The Tonight Show and your move from NBC to CBS, it was written that David Letterman felt he had to reinvent himself for the 11:30 time period, that he had to do something different from what he did at 12:30. Did you consciously go through a process in which you said, here is how I'm going to be different, or did you just walk out and do what came naturally?
Well, you know, we considered it at length because that seemed to be something that people were questioning us about and talking a great deal about. Well, you know, the show barely worked at 12:30. How the hell is it going to work at 11:30? And so we considered it. We'd have meetings and we'd take a rundown from the old show and we'd sit there, well, what about this? Can we still do this? What about that? Can we? And pretty much, with the exception of some cosmetic changes, in tone and attitude, I think we're doing the same show. We were very fortunate in that the facility that we came to, the Ed Sullivan Theater, presented all manner of new opportunities and endless source material, things to explore and to exploit. So that helped a great deal, I think, in reinforcing the impression that we had done some reinventing. But the truth of it is, the only actual things that, when it came down to, we decided to change the kind of clothing that I wore, and which may be something, Tom, you want to think about. And we also...
Don't start up with me on clothing or hair, pal.
And we also increased the size of the band. Beyond that, there was not a great deal of forethought or conscious effort to make any changes.
Let me ask you about the press that's written about The Late Show with David Letterman, which since August of 1993 has been phenomenal. And then after the Oscar program, it began to change. And it almost seemed as if the press was piling on David Letterman. And the press was writing stories that somehow Dave had lost the magic and that he wasn't as sharp or as good as he used to be.
Well...
what effect, if any, did that have upon your outlook or your attitude?
Well, first of all, you're right. We've been very fortunate with this show, and most of my public life, we've been very, very lucky. And I found what you described to be very interesting, because while it's clearly more fun to have really 100% nice things written about you day in and day out, you only learn things about yourself when there's some kind of trouble. And I never could bring myself to read the glowing reviews and positive things that people were saying, because I felt like, well, this means that the person writing this piece either really agrees with everything I'm doing or is just pretending to agree with everything I'm doing. Right. So when people write negative things about you, what you have to do, of course, is get beyond any kind of hurt feelings that might cause, and take a look at it, and that's the only way that I learn things about myself, only way I learn things about the job we're doing. So overall, I found it to be really very interesting. But how big a factor is it in my life? Not really. If somebody has something legitimate and honest and critical to say about the work that I'm doing, absolutely, I'm fine with that, because, of course, like most everybody drawing breath on this globe, I'm not infallible. So I guess the answer to your question is I found it very interesting, and I think in many, many ways very beneficial, because you're doing a nightly television show and we're a work in progress, and if we lose sight of something, you know, by all means it should be called to our attention. again, going back to just looking at it in terms of the fiscal responsibility here, you know, we ought to be doing the best job we can, and if people can help us out by criticizing the show or me, I don't have a problem with that. I really think, and I guess anybody who's been alive for any length of time knows this, you only really learn things when there's trouble. And so it's been, from that standpoint, a really good experience for us.
When you say you learn things when there's trouble, does that mean that there has been trouble?
The trouble that you referenced regarding you know, criticism in the press and so forth.
Not reference to changes in staff on the Late Show, the departure of Hal Gurney?
No, well, Hal Gurney has been with me since, I guess, 1980, 15 years, and I can't say enough good, wonderful things about this man. This is the guy that I always wanted to be. He's smart, he's funny, he's talented, he's a gentleman. He's experienced things in his life that I would not wish on others, and has come through always with grace and dignity and a sense of humor. So Hal's departure, we're going to miss Hal as a person and, of course, as a director. But as he told me when he talked about quitting, when we hired him on the morning show back in 1980, he had already retired then. So here's a guy who for me, had postponed his retirement for 15 years, and I'll never forget anything that Hal has ever done for us, and he's going to remain with the company, and we're very happy about that. But good Lord, I envy this man and what he and his life have ahead of him.
Speaking of the company for which I work and which you run, Worldwide Pants, how much time do you devote to your duties as a television mogul in charge of the production not only of these two late-night programs at CBS, but a Bonnie Hunt sitcom which will run on CBS this fall, and other programs in development? You know, you almost wear two hats here, broadcaster and executive producer and mogul. How do you handle the mogul part? Dave Letterman, mogul.
I think my mogul hat needs blocking. I have very little to do with it. I want to say something here that I guess is going to sound self-serving, but I feel like this is something that I've really felt for a long, long time. I couldn't, we're very lucky to be in a position to have a small production company, and I couldn't be more proud of you and your staff and the people that put that show on every day, because it's turned out great, and I'm very, very flattered and excited about that. I feel the same way with Bonnie Hunt and Rob Burnett with the work they've done on that show. We had another show called Emmett and Earl, which services are being held for that tomorrow. But,
hey, Dave, some you win, some you lose.
But the people behind that show, a guy named Adam Resnick, who's been with us for years and years, it did a terrific job, and I'm so proud of the efforts that all of these people have done. And Robert Morton was key among those for Emmett and Earl, and also very proud of.
What did Morty mess that one up?
No.
Okay.
He did a fine job. And
I thought when I heard you say tonight, must kill Morty, that something.
And also the work that our staff did last week when we were in London. To me, in an answer to your question, I have very little to do with all of this. I show up 2 or 3 times a week. You know, they sober me up and put me in a suit, and that's about it. And the rest of this is so gratifying because we have attracted and been able to maintain relationships with just wonderful people who have done and day in and day out a great job for us. So the answer to the question is I don't have much to do with it, but I certainly am proud of the benefits.
If I could keep you for 5 more minutes, I would be even more in your debt. I have to do a fast break. Back with David Letterman from the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York after hours, after these messages. We're back with David Letterman. Let me ask you here about...
Well, let me ask you, when is this show on? This seems like a pretty good thing.
It's on right after your program tonight, Dave. It's on right now, pal.
Hey, slick. Tom, how is it? I know for a fact you're twice my age, and you look 100% better than I do. How does that happen?
Makeup.
How the hell does that happen?
Makeup, lighting, and attitude, kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
But where does the vodka figure into that?
It doesn't. If it figured into it that much, I wouldn't look nearly this well, my friend. Let me ask you here about imitation in late-night television. Certainly, Johnny Carson probably borrowed elements of Jonathan Winters to do kind, old, lovable Aunt Blabby. Certainly, David Letterman has borrowed and updated things that Steve Allen did back in the early days of television. Steve Allen gave out salamis. David Letterman gives out canned hams. I noticed that The Tonight Show now has a host and a band leader who banter back and forth, who go out on location and do things together, and this has been written about in the press. And do you ever think, as you hear of these escapades on the part of your competition, Mr. Leno, that imitation is the sincerest form of thievery?
No.
Do you mind if people steal from you?
First of all, first-hand experience, I don't know that to be true, so I can't comment directly about that. I can speak to our situation. If you cite something that I have done on this show, or something on the old NBC show, or something on the early morning show, I can show you the source material for that. So that just seems to be the nature of, and forgive me for using this phrase, the creative process. We try to take glimmers of ideas or full-blown ideas and change them, and usually what happens, as you know, in any endeavor like this, you start out by imitating something you know, and then you work that way, and through that process you eventually achieve your own voice. And it's nothing mystical. I didn't mean to make it sound that way.
How much of what you do on The Late Show would have been The Tonight Show starring David Letterman at NBC?
This is the show. This
Okay.
would have been the show,
Okay.
without question. We always felt the big disappointment for me regarding not getting that job was that we felt like we had done a show for 10 years at NBC, and as a production unit, we were ready to go.
Absolutely.
We wanted to move to Burbank. That would have been great. You know, Johnny was gone, and that would have been huge pressure to follow Johnny. But we felt like we were, I don't know about a comparison to Carson. I don't know if anybody's up to that task, but we felt like we were up to the task and responsibility of producing a really nice, good show for 11:30.
As you have well demonstrated now for coming up on 2 years, and you and your people, and I don't mean this for this to be self-serving because I work for your company, but you ought to be commended for this.
Well, God bless you, Tom.
Let me ask you here about what you think is the legacy, the continuing legacy, if in fact there is any of it left, for Johnny Carson's reinvention of late-night television, because you and Jay have taken it a totally different way from Carson's gentle art of conversation and mimicry.
Yeah, I think that in some way that's too bad, because I watch shows like yours and other shows, but they're dwindling, and you realize how entertaining the simple form of reasonable conversation can be. And I realize that we probably just beat that notion to death. When we were in London, we had Peter O'Toole on Wednesday night.
I saw him.
And every now and then we'll have guests here on this show where you kind of get a sense of, yeah, this used to be the way it was, and my God, there was really nothing very wrong with this at all, was there? Sometimes part of the problem is, well, I don't know if it's a problem at all. We've just changed things, and you know, you feel like you've got to, you know, spinning discs of color to keep people entertained.
Dave, television's changing. It's changing, but we tend to think of ourselves here as one of the last bastions of that time when late-night television was conversation.
And you're very smart to have done it, because I've watched your career, as I've told you many, many times.
Well, don't tell me again, then.
I saw you on the first Tomorrow show, and watched darn near every one of those programs. And you're smart to continue doing what you're doing, because, like I say, it's the numbers are thinning, and so to see it done as gracefully and as artfully as you do it, it's very satisfying.
Thank you. Why do you like to drive so fast?
Oh, stop it. Gee, don't make me come out there and slap you silly. What the hell? I don't
No,
drive.
seriously, why?
Don't. Oh, you've never received a speeding ticket in your life?
I haven't had a speeding ticket since I was 17 years old.
Oh, please.
But seriously, what is it about you? What is the thrill with speed? And I know you love cars, and I know you're probably going to go to the Indianapolis 500 race this weekend. Well, what is it?
I will not be going to the Indianapolis 500 this weekend, but I'm very, very excited. I will now, Tom, do for you something wonderful. I will tell you the winner of this year's greatest spectacle
In auto racing.
Yeah. Bobby Rahal will win the 79th edition of the Indianapolis 500. And what was the other question? Oh, no, I don't speed. I got some tickets once, years ago.
I know. The officers had faulty radar guns, and I'm down to time here.
No. I lost my license, and now I obey all posted speed limits.
Good. David, thank you so much for your time tonight, and thank you for letting us play.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Have you got somebody else coming on?
No, this is it. No, it's 1:30 in the morning, David. It's time to close up shop here.
Yeah, well, maybe it's time for you, Tom, but I'm just getting warmed up. I want to tell you something, buddy. I own that show. We ain't going anywhere. You understand? What do you got coming up next? Like a half-hour infomercial with Cher about makeup? No. We're staying on.
Say goodnight, David.
Good night, Tom. Thank you.
And good night for NBC News. My thanks to David Letterman.
You said it again, Tom.
My thanks to David Letterman for being with us tonight from the Ed Sullivan Theater. Again, David, thank you and good night.
You said NBC.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah.
Well, no, see, remember Chet Huntley and David Brinkley? Good night, Chet. Good night, David. And good night for NBC News.
Oh, that's a good one, Tom.
Okay. Get off of him and get off of me. We'll be right back after these messages. Now stay with Elliot Forrest on the Late Late Radio Show at 1-800-890-9990. And my thanks to David Letterman for working extra hours tonight. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station. Thank you all for watching. Drive safely on the way home. And thanks for watching and listening, everybody.
This is CBS.
Okay, tonight is August 5th, 1987. This was the night Paul made a joke about my hair. All right. Okay. Our first guest tonight is one of the most well-known tough guys in England. He's acted in more than 60 films in the last 30 years, and he's the only guest we've ever had that can drink Lee Marvin under the table. Currently in a new motion picture entitled Castaway, folks, please welcome Oliver Reed. Oliver. Hi. Good to meet you, Oliver. Cute. Come on over here. Cute. That's cute. That was sure cute. We enjoyed that from the start. How you doing?
Well, I'm trying to look like Slim.
You're trying to look like Slim.
Yeah, I'm going to take that Rambo out of his stand.
Okay. Whatever you want. That's fine with me.
I understand it goes boom, boom. I understand I've just been outside in the green room. I've seen all these fellas, you know, wrapping them gooks on the head, man. I'll take that Rambo, go do something real mean to him.
It's,
Incidentally, somebody was sorry, you want to say something? I was trying to do up my shirt just now on the button. Keep off. I hope I'm not making myself too uncomfortable here.
It's fun to pretend, isn't it?
It's great fun. I always thought you was terribly serious. I heard this was an intellectual show.
Yeah, Let's talk a little bit about this.
Lots for words, Mickey.
No, but I have a recent history here of bailing out of this plane, so I don't know. You may be flying it by yourself in a couple of minutes.
I'm hip. Where's the camera? I'm hip with that.
So now, is it true when we mentioned in the introduction that you actually were able to drink Lee Marvin under the table? Any truth to that?
That's hearsay.
Hearsay. Did you and Lee Marvin ever drink together?
Yep.
Yeah.
In Durango.
In Durango? All right. And there was no contest about drinking?
No, Lee is a wonderful fellow. Probably one of the few actors in the world that I admire very much, along with, how much time you got?
We got all the time you want.
Rock Hudson, Rod Steiger, Lee Marvin, Rod Steiger, Lee Marvin.
Yeah. Now, so you and Lee Marvin, you went drinking and you had a contest to see who could drink the most?
Yeah, first of all, your researcher was told already that I don't want to talk about drink, understand? So let's cool that one. Get on to a new subject. I love trees and boats.
So, it's true that you and Lee Marvin had a tree climbing contest?
That's right. And we got to the top of this great fir tree. It was in the redwoods, and had a couple of pipers over there. They went, can I tell you how the pipers went? They put it on their arm, they go, and then Lee Marvin came up, climbed this big fir tree, and then I got into a boat on the top of the tree.
But now wait a
and
minute.
Marvin sailed away.
But now wait a minute. Do you still drink? I'll get off this in just a second. I just want to. I mean, it's behind you. You don't drink anymore.
Oh,
so what we're trying to do is recall a colorful anecdote from your past.
Yeah, well, what you got to do, man, is to understand that what I'm taking is a high-quantity porcelain diet. I drink a lot of cups, coffee cups, eat a lot of plates, and then I leave all the hash browns and everything aside and just eat the plates. And so this is why I was trying to come on here, and I'm after you, Sly.
Is there anybody up there who would like to host the show tonight? Tell me about where you live now.
I live in Guernsey.
Where is Guernsey?
Guernsey is in the Channel Islands, which is a little set of islands in between France and England, near the north coast of Paste.
the north coast of
Paste.
Yeah. And what is life there like?
It's a klassisches kind with thousands sind out in the Hauden liegen.
So you stopped drinking because you were afraid you might be doing permanent damage to your nervous system, I guess. Is that?
I thought this was a Johnny Carson show. I was going to be intellectual. but strange enough, I live there because I wanted to become a fisherman.
You wanted to become a fisherman? Okay, we'll get to that here in just a second. You'd like to turn my lights out, wouldn't you? Boom, and I'm gone. Okay, let's, did you see this? We got this. Did you see this earlier? Look at this.
Hey, brother.
Oh, brother.
Leave that alone, man.
Here we go. Okay, Paul, here we go. Let's just turn this on now. There we go. There it is. You get the light. Beautiful, isn't it? We'll be right back. Back. Oliver Reed is here. Now tell us about life on this island. Are you there most of the time?
Well, on Manhattan?
No. In the English Channel, the Channel Islands.
Yes, I am most of the time.
Yeah.
There was a long time that I lived on another island in England, and then I decided that I was going to go and live in Guernsey and buy this boat and live amongst fishermen.
Do you actually go out and fish?
No, I wear the boots.
It's easier because
can I tell you the story?
you don't need to get a license just to wear the boots, do you?
Well, you do really, because I wore the boots, and they got these big boots, and I went in there, and the fishermen, the Guernsey fishermen, they say, "What's this, boy? You trying to be a fisherman, eh?"
Excuse me.
There's a bugler.
We have chili in the commissary again today.
Hang on, I got some digests.
yeah, whatever. Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You think that was rare?
Have you been taking these?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll wait. I'll wait till a little later. Anyway, so you're a fisherman. You go out, you have the boots.
Yeah, I came into a fisherman's village once, and they said to me, "You wearing a fisherman, boy? Are you a fisherman?" So I thought I've got to wear a boat in order to wear the hats on my head.
So what kind of?
Wear the boots in my ears.
You have a boat too?
No, I haven't. No, I'm lying about the winch.
I see. Well, now we're really making progress.
Yes, I have a boat, and it has a winch, and I'm a fisherman, and I live over there, and I'm very happy there, and it's wonderful, and I drank 106 pints, and I screwed Lee Marvin at drinking, and we've got that over, and that's your researcher, and jolly good. You're going to be bright now?
No, I would just... I
thought you were going to talk about movies this stretch.
Sure, you want to talk about movies?
Yeah, I want to talk about Castaway.
Right. But now you're pissed off, right? Now you're pissed off.
Now I'm off.
Okay. So tell me about Castaway. You know, the woman who wrote the book was actually here. The woman who lived that story was here. And at the time, I thought it would make a darn good movie. How did it turn out okay?
Yeah, well, that's up to everybody that goes to the movies to judge for themselves. A lot of people make a mistake of messing up Lucy Owen, who played...
She was the young lady.
Yeah, that's right. Who played Lucy Owen, and Amanda Donoghue played the part, and myself, Gerald Kingsland. A lot of people mix us up, especially women's livers. I can only talk for myself. I thought it was... she's got a great body.
Briefly, the story is a gentleman
No, he's no gentleman.
All right, a guy wants to retire to an island, I guess in the South Pacific, off the coast of Australia or New Zealand or something, roughly?
Yeah.
And he runs an ad for a female companion. Isn't that the story?
Yeah, thank you for filling me in.
I wasn't filling you in. I was trying to educate the...
It didn't hurt.
Yeah. Well, considering your condition, maybe it wouldn't hurt.
Tell me what my condition is.
Well, it's just a joke.
No,
It's
come
just
on, what's my condition?
Well, no, I know. Just a joke.
Well, you assume... Oh, it's a joke, is it?
It's only a joke, and not much of a joke. I'll grant you that. It was... Believe me, I didn't even think it was... Paul, get over here. Paul... No, come on. No, Dave, you don't... Listen. We have soda and snacks in the green room, and you can have all of those you want.
I thought they were there.
No. All right, so now the movie comes out briefly, shortly, soon? Comes out?
Yes, it comes in New York. I've got to say all these things, and I'm sure that I'm right. I think it comes out in the beginning of September in New York, and the rest of America end of September. Can I thank you for being so erudite?
Well, sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience here. We'll pause here for station identification, and we'll be right back. I'm here with my good friend Oliver Reed, and he has a message for you about tonight's show.
Yeah, well, it's a bloody repeat. Go to bed.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Thank you. Hi, welcome back to the show. Boy, it got warm in here. You know, when something like that happens, I don't feel so badly for me, but tonight especially, it's the boy's first day, and I hate to see something like that happen on a show that he's producing like that. That's too bad.
Well, if he had any control over the show,
coming up later, or soon, or just any minute now, Dominique Lafort with the Performing Trained Cats, and also Randy Travis.
Yes.
Going to sing with the band, and I guess a couple of his own players.
Brought some pickers from Nashville.
Okay. And tomorrow on the program, Richard Lewis will be here, and a woman who windsurfed across the Atlantic. Is this the lady? Huh? From Miami. Huh? A man. A man who windsurfed from Miami. Across the Atlantic. Did he know the woman who did it? Stephanie Pyron will be here. Stefan. Things are going pretty smoothly, don't you think, Paul? Under the new regime? All right, anyway, that'll...
New regime.
Richard Lewis and Patty Smythe.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. That'll
Playing
be
with us
good
tomorrow.
show tomorrow. And now we have little actual items that we found in an actual supermarket. Paul, music for this?
Yes.
That's enough. Okay, Paul. That's enough. Thank you. We don't have nearly that kind of... Okay, that's enough.
I never met a guy I liked. Playgirl magazine, do you read about this? Kind of a sad note. Apparently, they've declared bankruptcy or something.
Is that right? No, I didn't see
Have you ever read this Playgirl magazine?
I've glanced at it periodically.
You know something? Actually, I think all men should read Playgirl at least once, really. Because, you know, at least I did. You don't really appreciate how silly the women in Playboy and Penthouse must look to women until you look at these guys in Playgirl. Because it's essentially the same magazine. You know, they always try to show the men in natural settings. You know, it's always like, here's Bob working on his dragster nude.
Working on his what?
Dragster.
Nude.
They never show you Bob bending over that exhaust manifold. Ow! Ow! Oh, another big childless summer for Bob. Oh, I'm spitting all over me.
A couple hours late getting into Kennedy.
Yeah, a couple hours late. Better get that airphone. Have you ever used that stupid thing?
You know, I've been on planes where people do use them, and every conversation is the same. Hello, honey. Guess where I'm calling from?
The plane.
The plane!
And they have the ad for it. They have the ad for it in the pocket. It says, it shows a businessman, hang on, Jim, while I check my figures. That's what they want you to do. Put the phone down at $10 a minute while this guy checks. And it never works in a storm. It only works if you're going to land on time.
Yeah.
If there's any trouble, I'm sorry, the earphone is out.
Yeah. So, so what else? What's going on? How are your parents?
They're fine. They're fine, my friend. No, I saw you glance at that car.
We have plenty more leftovers, Jade.
I've seen them. You're in a lot of trouble already. That's why you need me here. It's called a severe diphthong.
Did you bring a severe diphthong?
A diphthong. I'm a speech therapist. Did you know that?
That's not a diphthong.
Well, it's syllabin S or something. That's all I remember.
Syllabin S? No, it was just a mistake.
Mistake would also apply.
Did you bring any of those, what are those snack deals you got
My
going?
delicious Doritos? I may have some right here.
We'll be right back with Jay Leno. Jay Leno is here tonight. Laurie Anderson is here tonight, and a gentleman who is a cryptozoologist.
Oh, yes.
That's a makeup expert, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
He collects extinct animals, or whatever they are, like Bigfoot. He hunts for them.
Right.
How are you folks?
Folks are good. I was just up to see them. You know, I
live in the Boston area, don't they?
Boston area. I just bought my mom and dad. It's one of the great mistakes of my life. I bought them a videotape machine.
It was very nice.
Yeah, you ever try to explain to a woman in her 70s how to use the automatic timer? Well, press the program, Mom, and then, you know, you just get that blank. Yeah. When I told my mother, you know what I'm talking about here? When I told my mother you could tape one show while watching another, you would have thought I said men from Mars had landed, Mom. It was like, oh, my God, no. Yes, you can do that, Ma. You tape one. Oh, how can you do that? Oh, you're lying. I'm not lying. It's a machine. My dad used a box it came in to grow hothouse tomatoes, so apparently it's not a total loss. My dad is retired now, which is...
What kind of work did he do when he was working?
My dad was an insurance man. You see, this is the thing, though. You know, so many guys, gee, I see other guys' fathers, they hunt, they fish. You know, they enjoy... My dad, he keeps adding rooms onto the house, you know? My mother keeps screaming, nobody lives here anymore. We don't need a third rumpus room, as my father calls it. You know what he does? He gets up early every morning, and he still writes angry letters to major corporations. This is all he does. I went home for, Easter it was. I went home for Easter, and over the weekend, my father bought that huge box of Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes. You know, it's like a Playhouse. You know, the big giant one. It says on the side of the box, free M&Ms inside. Okay, my father did not get his free M&Ms. That's all I hear all through Easter dinner, all the relatives. I don't know who the hell I think they are. You know, these damn companies, I don't know who the hell they're dealing with. I said, why don't you write him a letter? I'll write him a damn letter tomorrow morning. He writes his letter to Kellogg's. He shows me a letter. I said, Dad, I think disembowel is a little harsh. Trying to come to an agreement with these people, I don't know.
But they're feeling good and everything's fine.
They're in good shape. Yeah, they're real good. They're real good. At least they were up until this tape date. If you've done anything to harm them, Letterman.
No, everything's fine. So what do you do with your free time? You going to films? You ever go to movies?
No,
you don't go to movies,
I used to like movies. You can't go to them. You know, remember, you used to go to the movies because the people on the screen were like you know, like Summer of 42 or Old Yeller or something. At least you had a, you know, Old Yeller. Didn't you ever have a dog when you were a kid? No, but you know, you used to go because you had the same feelings as the people. You sit in the theater now, you hear people behind you say stuff. You know, I killed a guy like that once. Will you shut up? You know? I went down to rent a movie the other day. This is the, you know, I don't understand. The movie business to me is an amazing
crazy,
thing.
Isn't it?
Well, I go down there, and they have a big thing in the videos. It's wacky, Dave.
Just doing what I can to pad my part here.
That's right, that's right. But they have a big display for Heaven's Gate. Here's Heaven's Gate, the biggest bomb of all time.
$42 million it cost to make.
$42 million it cost. It's on sale for $59.95. Now, they couldn't get anybody to see it for $5.
But now, don't you think it's probably a collector's item? That's what they would market it as.
Yeah, for $59, it's going to be a real rare collector's item.
What's the matter? Nothing.
And, yes?
What's your beef, Jay?
What's my beef?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You know what my beef... Actually, here's my beef, and this is a good beef. Where's Chris Elliott? He's been doing me on this show.
Yeah, I know. He does a very funny impression of you. Yeah.
But anyway, we live in an age where our technology has far surpassed our ability to use it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the record store right here, the big one down the street here, and I see now on compact disc, Twisted Sister. Okay? I mean, are they doing some subtle musical nuance that I'm missing somehow? And when they sing Scream Your Parents, can I get the full effect on a stereo? Do I really need some kind? I went in the bookstore this afternoon looking around. I see Complete Works of Shakespeare, $5.95. Right next to it, 101 Things to Do with a Dead Cat, $8.95. I mean, don't you think Shakespeare would be like real mad? Very annoying.
Let's see where you're going to be.
Where I'm going to be?
This is my
Well, you know
favorite
I'm doing Friday Night Videos.
Friday Night Videos
with Brandon.
with Brandon Tartikoff, president of
Or
NBC.
Brando, as we call
Call him Brando?
Brandy.
Brandy, you call him Brandy?
Yeah, Brandy.
What does he call you?
Mr. Leno.
Yeah.
That's September 5th.
September 5th. Okay.
And then, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods.
Well, actually, it's not my neck of the woods. It's my home state. My neck of the woods is more in the
No.
central portion of
I
the
was
state.
speaking of a later neck.
A later neck?
Yeah, your new neck is Connecticut.
No. You're going to be...
Take it easy, fella.
You're going to be in Merrillville.
There was talk he had been drinking heavily.
Merrillville, Indiana.
Maryville, Indiana.
Yeah. Okay, now that's
in fact,
not...
I just happen to have it right here.
That's not the neck you were talking about.
No, that's one neck. That would be August 29th. Then
see
on
this?
the 30th. It's
Can I
all
see this
printed out right
dossier
here. There you are.
Holiday Star Theater. That's a big place, isn't it?
Oh,
big.
beautiful theater, yes.
And then the Civic Center in Des Moines, Iowa.
That's correct.
And
Thank you
then
very much.
Oakland Music Theater, Wallingford, Connecticut.
And you'll be coming up
another neck.
to attend the performance?
I come up and I'd like to introduce you. I'd like to bring you on stage.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do it.
Well, you say that like I wouldn't want to do that.
Now, you really going to come by? Because I'll get some cheese and crackers.
Cheese and crackers. Well, we know you
I know you show people like that.
We know you get the crackers free, so maybe...
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Are we all finished?
I don't know. It's your show.
Well, in that case, I think we are. Jay Leno, ladies and gentlemen.